Okay, so you think you know Friday. You know the song, you know the memes, but the story behind Rebecca Black and that song, well, it's a lot more complicated than just a catchy tune. Today, we're going to take a deep dive with some video essays, transcripts, and articles. We're going to look at what happened and why Friday became such a huge thing, good and bad.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about, the internet back in 2011. Viral content was still kind of a new thing, and so bad it's good was really starting to take off, and Friday just kind of, stumbled into that perfect storm, catchy, cringy, and definitely shareable.
Yeah, it wasn't just the song, though, was it? I mean, Rebecca's age, the whole Arc Music Factory situation, it adds these layers to this story. I don't know, it makes it interesting, sociologically, not even just musically.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Arc Music Factory, let's go back to the beginning. So Rebecca's 13, an aspiring singer, and gets involved with this company that's making music videos for kids. Her mom pays them $4,000 for the whole package, song, and video. And this is kind of where we see the first issue of control.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people listening might not know much about copyright law in music. Our sources say Rebecca's mom paid that higher fee to Arc Music Factory, so Rebecca would own 100% of the rights to her song and video. They had a contract, but that's not how it went down.
This is like a textbook example of a company taking advantage of a young artist and their family. Maybe they weren't familiar with how the music industry works, Arc Music Factory owned the copyright, at least in their eyes, to the song and the video, so they were able to control how it was, marketed and how it was sold.
So Friday gets released. And at first it's pretty quiet, no big deal, just another one of those kids' music videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then it's on Tosh Toidowell, and boom, viral. But not the way anyone expected.
Yeah, the video got millions and millions of views, but it was one of the most disliked videos on YouTube. I mean, it beat out even Justin Bieber's Baby.
Yeah.
Was it actually bad? Yeah, maybe. But it was part of this new thing, online mockery. People weren't just, listening to it. They were part of taking it down, making memes, and turning Rebecca into this unwilling internet celebrity.
And it's easy to forget she was 13. The internet can be rough, especially back then. I mean, awareness of cyberbullying wasn't, what it is now. Imagine being a teenager going through that awkward stage, but the whole world is watching and making fun of you.
It's true, yeah. The backlash was intense, and it's hard to really get it now. I mean, people were criticizing everything, from the way she sang to how she looked, the lyrics, how it was produced. It wasn't constructive criticism or anything. It was just mean, personal.
Yeah.
And it never stopped.
It makes you wonder why. Why were people so mean to this teenager and her song? Was it just a bad song, or is there something more going on? Something about the internet back then that made everyone kind of pile on?
I think it was a bunch of things. Yeah, the song, it wasn't terrible, but it was definitely cheesy and kind of awkward. I mean, it was easy to make fun of. But I also think it became the symbol of everything people thought was wrong with, manufactured pop music. It felt fake and shallow and only made to make money.
And Rebecca became the face of that criticism, even though she was just a kid trying to be a singer.
And that's what makes what Arc Music Factory did even worse. They made something that everyone made fun of, and then they didn't even protect her, from all the negativity.
And to make it even worse, while Rebecca was getting cyberbullied and everyone was laughing at her song, Arc Music Factory was making money. They were selling ringtones and putting it on iTunes. They were cashing in on her viral fame and not sharing any of it with her. Awful.
It's all about power, Rebecca and her family didn't have much control. Arc Music Factory had the copyright, controlled how it was sold, and got all the money. Rebecca got all the bad attention. It's a classic case of a company caring more about profits than their artist.
So Rebecca's family and Arc Music Factory end up in this legal battle over who owned the copyright and the profits. They wanted to take back control for Rebecca to, make some money and try to save her career.
It was a tough fight. But in the end, Rebecca's family won. They got the rights to Friday back and got it away from Arc Music Factory. It was a small victory, but it was a turning point. This was the start of Rebecca taking control of her own story and being an artist on her own terms.
Yeah, getting those rights back was huge for her. Now she could, actually start a career on her own terms. Use platforms like YouTube to connect with fans, share music, all without a company like Arc Music Factory breathing down her neck.
It's kind of crazy how she took this whole thing, something that could have totally destroyed her and made it into something good. She didn't hide from Friday. She owned it.
Oh, yeah. One of the articles we have talks about how YouTube was just becoming a place for people to make original content. Rebecca was right there at the beginning, figuring out this new world of online fame. She started vlogging, sharing her thoughts, what she'd been through, and connected with fans, on a deeper level. She even made a video where she reacts to her own song Friday. I thought that was brilliant. She's got self-awareness and a sense of humor about it. It resonated with people. She wasn't pretending Friday didn't happen or that it wasn't a big deal. She owned it, and she was finding the funny side of it.
Being able to laugh at herself, not taking it all so seriously, was really important. I think it kind of disarmed the people who were criticizing her, and it let her connect with people who, appreciated that she was being real and that she was tough.
And she wasn't just being funny. She talked about, what it was like to be cyberbullied, the pressure of being famous and mental health. She took this awful experience and turned it into something positive, something that can help other people.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of turning things around, let's talk about Saturday. It's 2011. She puts out the sequel to Friday. She did that on purpose. It wasn't about trying to, recreate that viral success of the original. It was more like taking back her story and having fun with it all.
Okay, but was it empowering, or was it like feeding into the whole meme thing that hurt her in the first place? It's a weird line, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it depends on how you see it. Some people thought it was like a smart way to flip things around and make the joke her own. Others might have thought she was giving in to the haters. But what's clear is that Rebecca was making a choice, she was taking charge, and she was doing it her way.
So the video for Saturday, it had all her YouTube friends in it, and these little nods to the original Friday video. It was like she was winking at everyone saying, I know, but look at me now.
It was a big statement, especially for, young female artists online. People expect them to be perfect to fit into these boxes, and if they don't, they get trashed. Rebecca's response was to embrace those imperfections, find the humor, and use it all to empower herself and other people.
And through it all, she never stopped making music, putting out new songs, experimenting with different sounds and styles, proving she was more than just, a one-hit wonder or an internet meme.
It's cool to compare her early music, which was very much in that pop style, to what she's making now. Her voice has matured, her songwriting is more complex, and she's exploring themes that are, personal and meaningful to her.
It shows how much she's grown as an artist, but also how tough she is. She could have walked away from music after Friday. I mean, a lot of people would have, but she didn't. She kept going, she changed, and made her own place in the music industry.
And she didn't forget where she came from either. In 2019, 9 years after Friday came out, she writes this really powerful post on Instagram talking about the experience and how it affected her.
That post blew up. People who had been really mean to her were now apologizing. It was like this realization of how much they had hurt this girl and how much she had grown and overcome all of that.
It's amazing how opinions can change over time, especially looking back. In 2011, it was easy to laugh at Rebecca Black. But by 2019, when she's talking about it with, maturity and intelligence, you can't just see her as an internet joke anymore.
And Tosh Bruno, the show that made Friday famous, saw that post too. They had her on the show, and it was a really smart conversation about how complicated internet fame is and how the media can shape stories.
It was a powerful moment, they made up. Acknowledging how the internet can be good and bad, Tosh Bruno had a hand in Rebecca becoming famous, and also in the negative stuff that came after. But by giving her a platform to speak her truth, they admitted their part in it and helped everyone understand Friday in a more complete way.
Yeah, it's crazy to think how much the internet's changed, even since 2011. We get the dangers of cyberbullying more now, and there's more awareness about online fame, especially for young people.
Yeah, I think Rebecca's story is kind of a warning, but also kind of hopeful. It shows how important it is to, be media literate, not just watching stuff, but thinking about why things go viral, who's making money off it, and what could happen.
It's easy to get caught up in the snark and the memes and piling on people online. But we got to remember, there's a real person on the other side of the screen, and what we say and do online can really affect them.
What really gets me about Rebecca's story is how she took control. Friday didn't define her. She used it to talk about what happened to her, to push for change, and to show that you can get your story back even after something so public and so painful.
Yeah, it makes you think about how we all have a part to play in making the internet a better place. Thinking before we post, thinking about what our words can do, and choosing to be kind instead of mean.
And it's about recognizing that people can change and grow. That 13-year-old girl who everyone made fun of is now this smart and thoughtful artist who's using her platform to talk about important things like how we act online and mental health.
So what does this all mean for you listening? I think it makes us look at how we act online. Are we part of the problem or part of the solution? Are we spreading negativity, or are we using our voices to lift people up?
It also makes us think deeper, to question what we believe and to be open to the idea that there's always more to the story than we see at first. Rebecca Black's story isn't just about a catchy song or a viral video. It's about how complicated internet fame is, how online culture changes, and the power of being strong and knowing yourself.
It reminds us that even on the internet, being real and having a sense of humor can make a big difference.
And if there's one thing to take away from this deep dive, it's that we have a choice. We can choose to be careful about what we do online, to care about other people, and to use our voices to make the internet a better place. That's what Rebecca Black is doing, and it's something we can all be a part of.
For sure. If you want to hear more from Rebecca Black herself, I really recommend checking out her music and her YouTube channel. It shows how someone can take something bad and turn it into something powerful and inspiring.
Yeah, that's a message worth spreading.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the story of Rebecca Black, and Friday. We'll be back next week with another fascinating topic. Until then, thanks for listening.